Welcome back to Dr. Gilbert Healthy Aging. I am Dr. Gilbert. Throughout my extensive, decades-long active career as a clinical physician, a neurological researcher, and a practicing general surgeon who has operated on the collapsed rib cages, rigid spinal columns, and oxygen-starved brains of thousands of older adults, I have stood at the bedsides of proud, independent individuals and listened to the tragic postmortems of their vitality. When you spend your entire life working inside emergency surgical suites and geriatric neurology wards, analyzing the exact anatomical and respiratory root causes of chronic fatigue, brain fog, and sudden balance loss, your clinical perspective changes. You stop looking at senior sluggishness, afternoon energy crashes, and cognitive slowdown as inevitable, organic consequences of getting old. Instead, you begin to track the exact mechanical collapse taking place inside the upper torso that precedes a total breakdown of physical and mental sovereignty. You realize a deeply unsettling truth. The primary threat to your brain power and physical energy after age 70 does not originate in your blood sugar or your age. It develops silently inside your chest, every single second you breathe, through a calcified, immovable rib cage. And today, we are going to shine an uncompromising, highly precise medical spotlight on a silent, slow-motion respiratory disaster taking place inside the bodies of millions of aging Americans. It is a profound structural breakdown that I refer to in my clinical practice as the intercostal calcification and cerebrovascular hypoxia loop. It is a hidden mechanical trap that locks your thoracic ribs in a downward collapsed position, freezes your primary respiratory muscle, restricts arterial blood oxygenation, and leaves your cerebral cortex operating in a state of chronic, low-grade suffocation after age 70. Let us sit down together and have a completely raw, honest clinical conversation about an unspoken, heavy anxiety that millions of you face in absolute solitude every single day. Have you noticed that around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a heavy wave of mental fatigue hits your brain? A thick, foggy exhaustion that makes reading a book, keeping up with family conversations, or simply standing up feel like climbing a mountain? Do you find that even when taking what feels like a deep breath, your chest barely moves, forcing your neck muscles to strain upward as you gasp for air through your upper chest? Have you noticed that when you try to sit tall or walk across a room, your lower ribs feel tight, rigid, and compressed against your abdominal wall, as if an invisible iron corset is wrapped tightly around your torso? If you recognized your own daily physical symptoms in that description, I want you to focus your mind and listen to the sound of my baritone voice with absolute, undivided attention today. You are unknowingly caught inside an escalating mechanical crisis. The standard Western habit of spending hours seated in soft, slouched chairs is systematically freezing the 24 elastic joints that connect your ribs to your spine. You are not just getting tired, you are allowing your intercostal muscles to turn rigid, forcing your diaphragm down into your stomach and reducing your baseline oxygen intake by up to 35%. In the mainstream world of modern primary care medicine, I see physicians make a fatal diagnostic error every single day. When a senior over 70 reports chronic afternoon fatigue, lightheadedness, or brain fog, they are treated with passive laziness. They are told to accept it as normal aging, given heavy prescriptions for stimulants or blood sugar drugs, or told to drink caffeine to push through the exhaustion. But as a general surgeon, it is my professional duty to look you directly in the eye and share the raw, unfiltered clinical truth. Drinking coffee or taking pills does not expand a frozen rib cage or repair calcified chest cartilage. Caffeine simply forces an oxygen-starved heart to beat faster against narrowed blood vessels, accelerating cardiovascular fatigue. If your rib cage remains locked in a downward compression, every breath you take remains shallow, your arterial blood oxygen saturation drops during rest, and your brain's navigation and memory centers, the hippocampus and cerebral cortex, are continuously starved of the oxygen required to stay sharp, awake, and balanced. I did not create this masterclass to leave you sitting in discouragement or fear. Fear is a paralyzing, useless emotion in your longevity journey. Quite the opposite. Today, I am going to hand you an absolute, scientifically validated mechanical shield of safety. In this episode, I am going to reveal Japan's #1 ribcage habit for seniors over 70. Inspired by the ancient Tensei rib expansion movement, practiced for centuries by Japanese coastal rowers and centenarians, that possesses the unique biological power to unfuse calcified rib cartilage, double your lung expansion, and flood your brain with instant natural oxygen and energy. This specialized 10-second thoracic movement requires zero exercise equipment, zero heavy weights, and can be performed effortlessly right in your favorite chair or at your kitchen table. Yet, despite its simplicity, this single habit possesses the unique physiological power to expand your intercostal spaces, liberate your diaphragm, boost arterial oxygen saturation, and grant you immediate cognitive clarity and unshakable physical stamina. If you are truly ready to eliminate afternoon brain fog, permanently release that crushing tightness in your chest, and experience the boundless physical energy and mental sharpness of your youth, turn off all distractions right now, focus your mind, and let us break down this deep anatomical knowledge together. Before we unlock the elegant neurological and biomechanical engineering behind the Japanese Tensei method, take a brief moment to click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. By doing so, you join our global healthy aging family and ensure you are always equipped with real clinical truths to protect your independent freedom. Now, let us uncover the hidden anatomical collapse that occurs inside your chest and brain whenever you live with a rigid rib cage after 70. To permanently eliminate afternoon brain fog, restore natural energy, and understand why taking deep breaths without fixing your rib cage is anatomically useless, we must analyze the human respiratory and circulatory systems through the strict, unyielding laws of thoracic expansion, pressure gradients, and cerebrovascular perfusion. Your thoracic cage is not a solid, immovable box of bone. It is a dynamic, elastic hydraulic bellows composed of 12 thoracic vertebrae, 12 pairs of ribs, and the central breastbone, connected by over 40 individual articulation joints. Between each pair of ribs live two distinct layers of specialized muscle tissue, the external intercostals, which lift the rib cage upward and outward like a bucket handle during inhalation, and the internal intercostals, which pull the ribs downward during exhalation. When you are young, the flexible cartilage bridges connecting your ribs to your sternum, the costal cartilage, allow your entire chest to expand by 2 to 3 inches with every breath. However, as we pass the major biological milestone of age 70, a devastating structural trap occurs inside this thoracic engine, driven directly by modern Western seating habits. Look at the triple physiological breakdown that occurs inside your upper body when your rib cage freezes: costal cartilage calcification and rib cage freezing. When you spend hours slouched in chairs with your upper back rounded forward, your ribs are held in a continuous downward, overlapping position. Under the laws of soft tissue immobilization, unmoved cartilage undergoes dystrophic calcification. The springy collagen bridges turn rigid and bone-like, fusing your rib joints into an immobile cage. Your intercostal muscles lose their elasticity, preventing your chest from expanding sideways or upward during breath intake. Diaphragmatic trapping and neck muscle exhaustion. Because your rigid rib cage cannot expand outward, your primary breathing engine, the dome-shaped diaphragm, is pushed downward into your abdominal organs, unable to contract cleanly. To compensate for this loss of thoracic volume, your central nervous system recruits small secondary breathing muscles in your neck and upper shoulders, the scalenes and sternocleidomastoids. These small neck muscles were designed only for emergency exertion, not for baseline breathing. Using them for 20,000 breaths a day causes severe neck pain, tension headaches, and chronic physical fatigue. Cerebrovascular arterial hypoxia. Your brain represents just 2% of your total body weight, yet it consumes over 20% of your body's total oxygen supply. When your ribcage expansion drops, the volume of air exchanged with each breath, your tidal volume, plummets from 500 milliliters down to less than 250 milliliters. The concentration of oxygen in your arterial blood drops. The primary arteries delivering blood to your head, the carotid and vertebral arteries, deliver a oxygen-deprived fluid to your cerebral cortex. Your brain cells enter a state of chronic, low-grade metabolic hypoxia. Neurons slow down their firing speed, processing times lag, memory retrieval stutters, and a heavy blanket of brain fog settles over your mind every afternoon. Look at the terrifying mechanical trap this creates inside your body. Calcified chest cartilage, locking your ribs downward, exhausted neck muscles straining for air, a squeezed diaphragm, and an oxygen-starved brain struggling to stay awake. To break this cycle, we must look to a time-tested Japanese movement that manually unfuses rigid rib cartilage, activates the external intercostal muscles, and blasts a wave of fresh, oxygen-rich blood straight up to your brainstem. Let us now move away from structural pathology and focus entirely on the concrete, life-saving solution. I am going to teach you how to execute the Japanese Tensei Ribcage Reset, known in traditional Asian longevity kinesiotherapy and coastal movement restoration as the lateral intercostal expansion matrix. This is the absolute 10-second ribcage habit that will transform your breathing, eliminate afternoon brain fog, and flood your body with instant natural energy after age 70. For centuries along the coastal fishing villages of Japan, traditional boatmen developed extraordinary upper body stamina and lung capacity late into their 80s and 90s. They maintained this elastic vitality not through heavy exercise, but through a specific rowing motion called tensei. As they pulled their long wooden oars, they executed a synchronized side rib expansion, lifting their lower ribs laterally away from their spine like opening the slats of a Venetian blind. This dynamic movement prevented costal cartilage calcification and kept their intercostal muscle lattice permanently flexible. When modern seniors try to take a deep breath, they almost universally make a critical anatomical error. They lift their shoulders up toward their ears and strain their neck muscles. As an orthopedic surgeon, I must tell you that lifting your shoulders up toward your ears does absolutely nothing to expand your lungs. Shrugging your shoulders merely compresses your neck arteries while leaving your lower rib cage completely locked in downward compression. We must do the exact opposite. We must keep your neck and shoulders completely relaxed, while using targeted lateral arm leverage to manually pull your ribs apart, stretch calcified costal cartilage, and ignite your external intercostal muscles. By simply raising one arm overhead and executing a subtle lateral torso tilt combined with an active intercostal inhalation, you manually expand the spaces between your ribs, freeing your diaphragm and drawing a massive surge of oxygen deep into the lower lobes of your lungs, where oxygen absorption is highest. Let us execute this therapeutic masterclass together right now. You can perform this seated in a firm chair or standing tall. Follow me through the 4 precise sequential phases of this mechanical reset. The first phase uses arm elevation to place the lateral intercostal fascia under gentle tensile tension, preparing the costal cartilage for expansion. Sit completely tall in a firm chair, or stand with both feet flat on the floor, spaced shoulder-width apart. Raise your right arm straight up overhead, reaching your right fingertips toward the ceiling. Keep your left arm hanging relaxed at your side. Keep your shoulders relaxed away from your ears. Do not shrug your shoulder up to your neck. Look directly straight ahead at an eye-level target on the wall. Keep your chin parallel to the floor. Hold this overhead reach for 2 seconds. Feel how lifting your right arm automatically stretches the lateral fascia along the right side of your rib cage. The second phase uses lateral side bending leverage to manually widen the spaces between your ribs, breaking up overnight costal cartilage rigidity. While keeping your right arm extended overhead, take a quiet breath in through your nose. As you slowly exhale through your mouth, gently tilt your upper torso to the left side, leaning your upper body away from your raised right arm by about 15 to 20 degrees. Keep your sitting bones firmly anchored to your chair or keep both feet glued to the floor. Do not let your hips shift. Hold this gentle side tilt for 3 full seconds. You will feel a deep, satisfying opening stretch fanning out across the right side of your rib cage, from your lower ribs all the way up under your armpit. You are manually separating locked costal joints and unfusing calcified cartilage bridges. The third phase uses pressurized air volume to force the intercostal muscles to expand outward, drawing oxygen deep into the highly vascularized lower lung lobes. While holding the lateral side tilt to the left with your right arm extended, keep your throat completely relaxed. Now, take a slow, deep, massive 4-second inhalation through your nose, directing air intentionally into the expanded right side of your rib cage. Feel your right lower ribs expand outward sideways like an opening bucket handle. Do not let your shoulders rise. Hold this full air volume inside your chest for 2 full seconds, counting 1, 2. During these 2 seconds of air retention, high-pressure oxygen diffuses rapidly across your lung alveoli into your bloodstream, surging into your pulmonary veins and heart. The final phase uses the return movement to drive pressurized, highly oxygenated arterial blood up your carotid arteries directly into your brainstem and cerebral cortex. As you begin to slowly exhale through your mouth, smoothly return your upper torso back to a perfectly vertical center position. Lower your right arm back down to your side over a 3-second count. The exact microsecond your torso reaches vertical alignment, take a deep, quiet recovery breath through your nose. You will feel an immediate, profound rush of mental clarity, a sensation of deep warmth spreading across your chest, and an instant lifting of brain fog. Immediately repeat this sequence on the opposite side. Raise your left arm overhead, tilt gently to the right. Take a deep 360-degree inhalation into your left ribs, hold for 2 seconds, and recenter. Perform 3 slow repetitions on each side. Why is this simple Japanese ribcage habit so profoundly effective at boosting brain oxygen and instant energy after age 70? Let us analyze the undeniable vascular and anatomical physics taking place inside your body. When you extend your arm and tilt laterally in phase 1 and 2, you stretch rigid intercostal fascia and unfuse calcified costal cartilage. When you execute the targeted nasal inhalation in phase 3, you expand your lower lung lobes, where blood flow is 4 times higher than in the top of your lungs due to gravity. When you retain air for 2 seconds, oxygen saturation in your blood spikes to maximum capacity. Finally, when you recenter in phase 4, your heart pumps this highly oxygenated arterial surge straight up your carotid arteries to your brainstem and cerebral cortex. In just 10 seconds, you transform a compressed, suffocation-prone chest into a flexible, high-volume oxygen engine. Now that you master the precise mechanics and execution of the Tensei Ribcage Reset, we must establish the precise medical dosage, scheduling protocols, and long-term biological timelines of how your thoracic cartilage and cerebral blood vessels will adapt and heal. In senior longevity medicine, a respiratory biomechanical protocol operates exactly like a targeted metabolic pharmaceutical compound. If you perform it randomly or ignore daily consistency, your costal cartilage and pulmonary microvessels will fail to construct permanent, protective structural adaptations. To achieve complete thoracic expansion, double your baseline lung capacity, and permanently eliminate afternoon brain fog, I want you to perform this simple routine 3 times every single day, without exception. The morning bedside ignition. The oxygen awake reset. Execute the 10-second Tensei Reset the very first time you stand up beside your bed every morning. During 8 hours of horizontal sleep, your lung volume decreases and your rib joints stiffen. Performing the Tensei Reset upon rising flushes out stagnant carbon dioxide, expands your lung bases, and floods your brain with fresh oxygen before you start your morning routine. The 2 p.m. Energy Booster. The Brain Fog Destroyer. Execute this exact sequence at 2 p.m., the exact circadian hour when posture slumps, digestion redirects blood flow away from the head, and afternoon brain fog spikes. Performing the Tensei Reset at your desk or chair interrupts thoracic collapse, instantly restoring arterial oxygen supply to your brain without needing caffeine or sugar. The Evening Pre-Dinner Reset, Diaphragmatic Liberation. Execute 1 set before your evening meal to free your diaphragm from thoracic compression, ensuring smooth digestion and relaxed evening breathing. Let us also look at the fascinating chronobiology of pulmonary compliance. Clinical respiratory data demonstrates that human lung compliance and intercostal muscle flexibility reach their circadian peak in the late afternoon. Performing your afternoon set of Tensei Resets allows you to achieve deeper, longer-lasting expansion of calcified rib cartilage with minimal mechanical resistance. What should you expect to experience as you maintain this daily protocol consistently? Week 1. Neural Awakening and Instant Energy. During your very first 7 days of practicing the Tensei Reset, you will notice an immediate, dramatic reduction in afternoon fatigue. The heavy blanket of brain fog will lift within 10 seconds of performing the exercise. You will notice that taking a deep breath feels completely natural, and your neck muscles will no longer feel tight or overworked. Month 1. Costal Cartilage Remodeling. After 30 days of consistent daily execution, the structural collagen matrix within your costal cartilage bridges undergoes active remodeling. The calcified rigidity yields, restoring elastic compliance to all 24 rib joints. Your baseline resting tidal volume increases by up to 20%, keeping your blood continuously oxygenated even when you are sitting quietly. Month 3. Cerebrovascular Angiogenesis and Permanent Stamina. After 90 continuous days, your cardiovascular and pulmonary systems achieve long-term structural adaptation. Your lungs construct denser capillary networks around your alveoli, arterial oxygen saturation remains rock solid, and your brain receives a continuous, rich supply of oxygenated arterial blood. You navigate your days with boundless physical stamina, sharp memory, crystal clear focus, and complete sovereignty over your vitality. As a physician and general surgeon dedicated to senior physical autonomy, I must remind you that practicing your daily Tensei Ribcage Reset is only half the equation. You cannot expect to permanently eliminate brain fog and fatigue if you are unknowingly committing 3 common, destructive lifestyle errors inside your own home every single day. These everyday habits actively crush your ribcage, trap stagnant air in your lungs, and undo all the respiratory healing we are building. Deadly mistakes #1. Slouching in deep, soft armchairs while reading or watching TV. Many older adults spend 3 to 4 hours every afternoon slouched backward in deep, plush living room armchairs or soft sofas that collapse the spine into a C shape. From a thoracic biomechanical standpoint, this slouched posture is a complete disaster. Sitting in a deep C shape forces your lower ribs directly down into your abdominal bowl, physically pinning your diaphragm underneath your ribcage. This reduces your functional lung capacity by over 40%, trapping stagnant carbon dioxide in the bottom of your lungs and causing severe, chronic afternoon brain fog. My strict clinical correction: never sit slouched in deep, soft furniture for long periods. Always sit in a firm, supportive chair that keeps your hips level with your knees and your spine tall. Place a small lumbar roll behind your lower back to maintain your natural spine curve and keep your rib cage lifted off your abdomen. Deadly mistake 2. Breathing exclusively through your mouth. When seniors feel short of breath or tired, they frequently open their mouth and take fast, shallow gasps of air through their lips. From a vascular physiology perspective, mouth breathing is a severe mistake. Breathing through your mouth bypasses your nasal passages, which produce nitric oxide, a vital gas that opens blood vessels and increases oxygen absorption in your lungs by up to 20%. Mouth breathing triggers hyperventilation, dries out respiratory tissues, and causes arterial blood vessels in your brain to constrict, making brain fog significantly worse. My strict clinical correction: breathe exclusively through your nose during rest, reading, and light walking. Nasal breathing warms, filters, and humidifies air, while releasing nitric oxide to dilate your pulmonary and cerebral blood vessels, maximizing oxygen absorption with every breath. Deadly mistakes 3. Wearing tight, restrictive belts or elastic waistbands. Many older adults wear tight leather belts or rigid elastic waistbands pulled tightly around their midsection to hold up trousers or clothing. While tight clothing keeps pants secure, a tight belt wrapped around your waist acts like an external clamp, preventing your lower ribs and abdominal wall from expanding during inhalation. This forces your body into shallow chest breathing, overworking your neck muscles and starving your lower lung lobes of air. My strict clinical correction: avoid tight, restrictive belts or tight waistbands. Wear comfortable clothing with flexible, stretchable waistlines, or loosen your belt by 1 or 2 notches while seated, to allow your lower rib cage and abdomen to expand freely with every breath. My dear friends, as we draw this comprehensive thoracic and cerebrovascular longevity masterclass to a close today, I want to step away from clinical terms and anatomical diagrams and speak directly to your heart, not just as a surgeon, but as a trusted companion on your journey of aging. Reaching your 70s, 80s, or 90s is an extraordinary, sacred milestone. It is a triumphant season of life that should be completely defined by your personal freedom, your hard-won wisdom, your peace, and your joy, not by physical restriction, daily exhaustion, afternoon brain fog, and a constant feeling of low energy. You have spent your entire life working hard, sacrificing for your families, and building our communities. You have earned the absolute right to live this golden season of your existence, with uncompromised physical dignity, with your head held high toward the horizon, and with the complete physical freedom to move through this world entirely on your own terms. Losing your daily energy, struggling with mental fatigue, or feeling like your lungs simply cannot get enough air is not an inevitable consequence of getting older. It is simply a biomechanical puzzle, a puzzle of calcified costal cartilage, locked intercostal muscles, and trapped diaphragmatic volume. And as we have demonstrated together today, using the profound science of respiratory mechanics and cerebrovascular physiology, every single piece of this puzzle has a logical, scientific, and remarkably effective mechanical solution. Do not allow passive attitudes to dictate the boundaries of your personal world. Do not accept a life that slowly shrinks into afternoon fatigue, quiet isolation, or helpless decline. Your body remains an absolute miracle of biological engineering, fully capable of cartilage remodeling, microvascular expansion, and oxygenation recovery until the final breath you draw on this earth. You do not lack the inherent capacity to heal, you simply lack the correct clinical blueprint. Now today, you possess that blueprint. I challenge you right now as your physician. The moment this video finishes and the screen goes quiet, do not remain sitting in stagnation. Stand or sit tall, reach your right arm high overhead, tilt gently to the left. Take a deep, massive 360-degree nasal breath into your side ribs, hold for 2 seconds, recenter, and turn your internal oxygen engines back on. Send a clear, powerful signal to your body that you are ready to stay strong, protect your brain, and reclaim your physical sovereignty. If you found today's masterclass valuable, please share it immediately with your husband, your wife, your siblings, your neighbors across the street, or anyone you love who struggles with low energy, brain fog, or shallow breathing. Let us eradicate unnecessary physical suffering and protect the independence of our seniors together. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time, your trust, and for opening your heart to me today. Subscribe to our channel. Move with deep intention every single day. Honor your magnificent physical temple. Execute your daily Tensei Ribcage Resets, and I will see you in our very next clinical episode. Stay strong, look straight ahead at the horizon, and step forward into your day with absolute, magnificent power.